think one of the things that I've battled with the most in my career in terms of efficiency and cost and profitability has actually been finish work, whether it's paint or clear coat. Seems to be things that A, I love experimenting with, and B, I learn hard lessons with. So I just very briefly wanted to talk about something that's been helpful throughout my career as I am working on this weekend project for my own house. It is a very quick, efficient, cost-effective, and surefire way to successfully paint, trim, base, case, and even cabinets. The first thing that I do, obviously, is going to be sand my material. Now, I'm using leftover pine from an old project, so I go ahead and take the liberty of sanding it to 150. I had to rip out the tongue and groove from this, so I definitely sanded the kerf out from my saw blades. If you don't have the table saw and you're using pre-ripped material but still need to prime it, just make sure that you do your best to sand the kerf out of the edges because they really show up once top coat goes on. Once I sand it, I go ahead and prime it. Again, if you're working with pre-primed material, ignore this part of the process, but priming is essential for a multitude of reasons. For me, I actually really love what it does to help fill the grain, and also gives you proper adhesion and a little bit of color blocking when you're working with wood. Pro tip on that, if you're painting a dark top coat, go ahead and throw a few drops in your quart or cup and mix it into your primer. It will help pre-tint a loaded color so you don't have to do as many top coats. Once your primer is on and you get successful application and it dries after about an hour or so, depending of course on temperature and humidity, go ahead and give it another scuff sanding or use an orbital. You know, a lot of these tips are also designed to help DIYers and people who don't do this for a full time. So if you don't have an orbital sander, don't freak out. Scuff sanding will do everything you need it to and then some. Just be patient and try and wear a mask if you don't have dust extraction. Once you get it scuff sanded, definitely clean it off either with a vacuum or simply a wet rag. Then you're going to apply your paint. For all trim, casework, cabinets, anything like that, in my projects and my house, I use a two-part paint or something that is catalyzed or has a hardener in it. Some of them are pre-mixed like that, like Sherwin-Williams Emerald here. It actually is a urethane paint, but it is still a lower VOC and water-based, very easy cleanup, not too harmful for the environment or your brain. And I do that because they actually harden as the solvent evaporates. The urethane is left behind the paint, which makes it incredibly scratch resistant and also very easy to clean as life goes on because it gets messy. I use the same hot dog roller, sizing wise, just to show you guys, you know, I use a 1/4 inch nap. I buy these in 5-packs or 6-packs at Home Depot, and they're very easy to pop off. And the reason I use the 1/4 inch, I find it deposits the most amount of paint with the least amount of nap kind of imprintation, so to speak. So it lays down the flattest. And also you can simply pop off the roller, tap it down in the paint, get it a little covered up, and then store it in the paint can for easy access to it later. And you don't have to constantly buy or clean out all these rollers. Now obviously this works great for primer and fantastic if you're going to do a lot of the same top coat. If not, you're gonna have a bunch of different rollers and a bunch of different paint cans. I always spin my roller in a rag so I don't have to scrape it or clean it later, because if the metal gets too loaded, it will make it hard for your roller to roll, and that's a big bummer because then your finish starts to suck. Once I get my first top coat on, I just make sure I got a really nice area laid out for it to dry and cure. And with top coats, I tend to like about an hour and a half minimum in between scuff sanding. Obviously, instructions vary based on the product, but I like about an hour and a half in between so I can then scuff sand without gumming up my paper or tearing off paint that is not properly adhered yet. Other than that, it's up to you on how it turns out, 2 to 3 top coats. Usually if I'm going to commit to 3 top coats, what I like to do is go ahead and install my product after the second coat so I can then minimally fill, scuff sand, and then should be done with that last coat to cover up the nail holes and any caulking. So that's basically it. A hot dog roller, $2 paint trays. It's a very cost-effective way, and I know I've done videos about spraying finishes, but the reality is it's not a reality for everybody who's working out of a garage. And even someone who has a shop like this, which isn't anything too impressive, but can still be a real pain. I'm just not set up for a spray operation. So in terms of painting, casework, millwork, base, anything in your house that you want to paint over that's a wood product, try a hot dog roller. 1/4-inch nap works phenomenally well. Make sure you're scuff sanding, cleaning, priming, scuffing, cleaning, painting, scuffing, cleaning, and ultimately getting a really nice, even, consistent last coat on there. Be mindful of the ventilation wherever you're painting, and wear gloves, because washing your hands repetitively really sucks. If you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know down below, and I'll happily get back to you. And good luck painting. If you like this, subscribe.